Hutchie's called him in.
Yeah, so what happened there, Jim?
So he let go on the Saturday rub something he shouldn't have.
We witnessed that and
we
experienced
witnessed that.
it.
And so he then
Who are
tried
you
to...
talking about?
You. Tried to reverse back over it straight away, but it was
Yeah.
out there. It was out in the ether.
He thought it was recorded and he
That's
could
it.
take the bit out. Yeah.
So then he just shut up and said nothing across the weekend, Fat. And then
until?
Hutchie has sent a text to him saying,
Damo.
we need an intervention because
Jim, shut up.
you can't be...
there's a grass in our midst.
grass.
And it's you, Fat.
You do
So he's-
forget where you hear things, and then you sometimes talk
do
into a
forget 'em,
microphone, don't
and
you?
then
Yeah.
they
You
pop
don't do
up.
it with any starting point of malice.
No.
You just forget some things are meant to stay
And
confidential.
he's not happy,
Some
the
night.
supercar driver, and he's called you in, and now you look at you.
I can't make it Thursday night. Got something on. Got something on, Jimmy boy. Hello,
I like
Damien. How was your weekend?
It was good, Bill. Thank you. Yes, it was.
No, I wasn't actually asking to be.
As Jim said, the football wasn't of
No.
the highest standards, was it? We might get to that from a positive perspective
Yep.
in a moment. But Stephen King today,
Yes.
first time officially as the Melbourne coach, spoke to media, and he's talking a big game. Now, what we do in the media, as everyone who's in footy knows, we retain these statements because he's
Yep.
making some big. Oh, look, I like it for what it's
Receipts.
worth. Receipts. He's talking a big game. First up, this is what he wants to do next year.
Oh, for me, it's an expectation. I feel like every staff member, every player should expect to play finals next year, and I hope. I'd be really disappointed if that wasn't an expectation.
I do like
Finals.
it. He may as well come in and talk
well,
that way.
exactly
Well,
right.
you got to.
They've made a change on the back of not making finals, and people around the footy club said that when they did move on from Simon Goodwin, and Stephen King has clearly sold that.
What do you want him to say, Damo? I think we'll finish 12th.
I didn't say anything, Bill. I just said he's
yeah,
talking
I
big
know.
games. And how do you think it's going to go, though, if they do finish 12th again? That
But
audio
he's
will be...
got to say we're going to play
I said all
finals.
that.
Yeah.
I said all
No,
that.
he's actually
Yeah.
said that, Bill.
I said that before I threw to it.
Right.
I said I like him being this way.
Yeah. Right.
This is
but
an
again,
example
listen.
of Fat not listening, and he never does, especially on a Monday.
So that was one part of it.
Yes.
And the other narrative when they did remove Simon Goodwin was how they actually played football. So not just not winning, but the slow ball movement. And
Yep.
he's got a view on that too that he wants to change.
I think the best teams in footy now challenge and move the ball fast, show a bit more dare to take the game on, and I want to encourage our playing group to play with that flair and freedom. But certainly if you do move the ball a bit quicker, it's going to get in there with less numbers, and I think any forward in the room would love to hear that. So I'm going to try and give them the best opportunity to beat an opponent one-on-one and not with a heap of pairs in there and a lot of congestion.
I think the players would like hearing that.
Bloody
And
oath.
from what I could tell, a lot of them were in the room when he was talking there today. So, yeah, it is encouraging. Obviously, they've got a long runway now before they play a game of footy. But,
Who was on the bench there with him, sitting up with him today?
President and CEO.
Yeah, Paul Guerra
Yeah.
and Brad Green.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Paul was there.
He was.
How's
there.
he going? All right?
He's going all right.
He just
yeah.
started, didn't he, a week
he's
ago?
barely
He's actually
started.
begun.
I think he has now.
Right.
Yeah, I think he has. Yeah, it was one of the quicker coaching plans to find a replacement that I've seen. And
Appointments, wasn't it?
yeah, they did a lot of work by forming the shortlist before they actually got out to speak to people. But they only started the interviews last week, and by basically Thursday, or Friday, they had him appointed. So all done and dusted. So he gets to go.
I reckon he takes over a decent list, to be
you?
honest. If he
Yeah.
can get those senior blokes
Yeah.
settled, there's about 7 or 8 young blokes under 22 that I think can legitimately play.
Really
Yeah,
like
I reckon
Harvey
it's-
Langford. I
Harvey
reckon-
Langford's one of them.
Yeah.
Caleb Windsor's another
Yes.
one. Tolstrup is a good young kid.
Yep.
Van Rooyen, I think, will enjoy what you've just said.
Yes.
The ball getting in there fast. Been a hard thing to do,
Yeah.
play forward for
Yeah.
Melbourne now for a while.
So he's
But
good.
There's just Rivers is. I mean, he's a little bit older, Rivers,
Yep.
but
Yep.
McVee. There's
Yeah.
Disco Turner. So
Yeah.
I reckon there's 7 or 8 kids that are bloody
Going
decent
okay. Yeah.
attached to that joint.
And
Yep.
then the decisions, to your point, Jim, about the older players, I still feel there is a discussion to be had, quite of a pointy-ended nature involving Christian Petrarca and Clayton Oliver.
Yep.
And I'd imagine he's going to be doing that in the next week or so.
Surely he'd have a coffee with them if he
yeah,
hasn't
absolutely.
already.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you've got to sit down with
He
those
owes
two.
it to them to
Oh,
hear their
exactly.
story.
And
Yeah.
hear from them.
Yep.
And then what he's got for them.
Yep.
Yep.
And then where it leaves Nathan Buckley, well, Bucks, as we discussed on Saturday, made comments on Friday night on Fox Footy that he was meeting with Brendan Gale on Tuesday, tomorrow. So that is going to take some form of shape. I just keep reminding people there is, though, no licence that Brendan Gale can offer, or even contract that he can offer, because the AFL has only provisionally awarded a licence. And until it's confirmed as a licence, it's just an academic conversation at the moment. But clearly that was part of the Melbourne considerations, wasn't it? The way that Nathan Buckley portrayed that. To the footy, Bill, Bill, I love the response from Brisbane Lions against the Gold Coast Suns. They were belted the previous week against Geelong and they lost Lockie Neal out of the game. They knew they were going to have to cover for the loss of Eric Hipwood even before then, but they just fired a massive shot, didn't they? And they did it on the back of their leadership. I loved how Harris Andrews wasn't on Ben King for the first 15 minutes, but then the moment he went there, just transformed that game.
Had 2 kicks. Ben King after
that. And he had 3 shots at goal in the first 15 minutes.
And then Harris Andrews' game, the Geelong game on Shannon Neal,
was
very, very good. He's nearly been their best player in the finals.
And that's coming off a season, home and away, that was All-Australian as well for a third
He's
time.
been a star.
He has.
Absolute star.
No doubt.
And speaking of that, I mean, we know that Will Ashcroft has won a Norm Smith medal, but I would argue that the game he played on the weekend against the Suns in a semi-final was yards better than that performance last year against the Sydney Swans.
In the absence of Lockie, as you say, he needed to step up and did.
He did.
Which you love seeing.
Yeah, and seized moments. He was very team-oriented, and that has sometimes been a criticism of Will Ashcroft. And we know the words team-oriented fit very, very, very neatly and have now for the best part of 11 seasons on Josh Dunkley at 2 footy clubs, 3 footy clubs actually. And what a gun player he really is. So
they will now present some concerns for Fly, I reckon. Because they're going to hit that game with some momentum and no fear.
Yeah, they won't. They won't. And Chris Fagan, just speaking of Fly, Jim, he's just been able to get this club up now for 7 consecutive seasons. It's another preliminary final outcome at the very least. And I think he's shown too that he's prepared to invest in youth this year as they are trying to defend a flag. We'll get to the Fly side of it in the other side of the break, Jim, as a winning qualifying finalist. But Hawthorn's, as we discussed on Saturday, just massive win against the Crows. It gives them great confidence, doesn't it, to go into the finals in 8th position, but to now get down to the last 4, and they've got their great rival, the Geelong Footy Club, awaiting them on Friday night.
Fat's as nervous about that as he is about Hutchie.
Not yet. More nervous about Hutchie. But and I'll tell you what, I know the players, but we'll talk about it. The supporters. They love it too. They get amongst it. There'll be a huge crowd here. And some of those games will last, 10 years between Geelong and Hawthorn. Doesn't matter where they are on the ladder. Yeah. And certainly it won't matter here. It'll be a good game.
No, it won't. There's look, until we get sign off officially on the availability of Jack Gunston and Jack Ginnivan, both spent the large parts of the last quarter on the bench. I feel it was purely precautionary. They've been long seasons, obviously, and Gunston's form and body has been outstanding this season. I know you're a massive fan of this guy, Jim, and you called it on the run, but Lloyd Meek's game in that particular game.
Good.
You talk about Ashcroft maybe playing the best game of his career. I think you could argue that with Lloyd Meek.
He's a monster, by the way.
Yeah, he is.
If you're down on the ground and they come out past you, he is a man mountain, Lloyd Meek.
Has a crack.
Oh, yeah.
Marks. He can mark. He can kick goals.
They love him internally. He's engaging in conversation and he's a very smart man. So,
no, I like it. All right, some negatives.
Negatives is next.
Oh, stand by.
Maybe the Essendon captain as a way into that. No, just as a topic, Bill. I'm not having a go at him, but it's a negative topic for his club.
Thank
you, Bill.
And now, negatives, Purple. Where are we starting?
It's hard not to start with the Essendon Footy Club, despite there being 2 teams that went out of finals and one of those in straight sets. We'll get to that in a minute. But the Essendon Footy Club, as we know, Zach Merrett meeting with Sam Mitchell, Hawthorn coach last week. And then in order, the media strategy intrigues me around this, Jim, because in order of the public appearances, you've had the coach, Brad Scott. You had the CEO, Craig Vozzo. You had the chair or president, David Barham, using the club's platforms to also partake in public words around this. You then had, and we haven't seen this before, 3 players in the space of 48 hours. Mason Redman in the AFL, Nick Martin in the Age, and Andrew McGuire on Channel 7 last night with Xander Maguire all making comments and balanced and I think reflective comments, but there is negativity attached to what Zach Merrett has done. So it's an interesting place, this club right now.
Yep. Well, what is the truth behind it all?
All of it is.
My understanding, I don't know Jordan Ridley at all, but my understanding a bit with him is some frustration around his body
injuries,
continually letting him down, and he's got some issues with the high performance side of the club, and as I understand it, maybe he's looking to go somewhere else where he can give himself a chance to have a decent run at it.
Which is why Brisbane looms there in his mind. Now, I think it's a long shot that it can happen, but we've seen what Brisbane has done. I mean, Joe Danaher, a former teammate of Ridley's, got fixed by Brisbane. Link McCarthy got fixed.
Draper do it too a bit that way?
Yeah. There's a reason for that as well.
They're bringing Matty Innes in, who apparently is a very good operator. So they've addressed that side of the club. But the Merrett one is the one that jumps out of the page because they've just re-signed him again, even though he had a standing deal to give him more money because they said that reflected his standing in the game.
Yes.
And yet he's still wanting to leave.
He does. And I feel as an observer in this, and that's all I am, obviously, that it's got to the point of no return now for him. So he hasn't, as we talk right now on this Monday afternoon, hasn't spoken publicly about it himself. I don't expect him to do so, but we know he's got till October 15 for this to be sorted through. That's the close officially of the trade period, and I still feel we're going to be talking about it right through to that deadline, which is 7:30 on that particular night.
So what they will do eventually, if what you're saying is true, and that is that it's gone beyond him staying at the club, then Hawthorn have got to put a deal together.
So how
are they going to do that? They'll pick
futures
21 or something.
Yeah, and they've already got 3 picks already at the Bombers inside the first 10 as it stands. Now they'll be pushed back a little bit.
They need something this year.
They want players if they were to go down that path. But look, their public positioning has been expressed by those people I mentioned that he's contracted for 2 more years. We're going to keep him. Clearly, these things take a different feel and look behind the scenes. They're going to maintain that line publicly.
And that's fair enough.
Yeah. And he, though, has done what he feels he needs to do to get it to this stage where it's blown up.
Yeah.
And without doing it the way he did it, he feels it would have just been walked over and he would have stuck there. So, lot to play out it. I don't claim to know how it looks at the end of it all. Adelaide.
Warpool, by the way, goes to the Cats, yes? So that leaves a nice little spot there.
They've certainly had a lot of conversations with him. Yeah, but again, just on that, I mean, Josh Ward's performance too, wasn't it, in the game in question? They're talking about players playing their best game of footy on the weekend. I think he could mount that case too. You don't finish top of ladder by a game clear and then lose 2 finals and think you've had a good season. And that's the Adelaide
lose 2 finals in 8 quarters.
Yeah, didn't win a quarter. You're right.
That's actually extraordinary.
Did not fire a shot of any note at any stage of those 2 matches. And while, you might argue, and if you had this conversation 3 weeks ago, well done. You finished top of ladder. But it's a mess now. They've got a big decision to make over Taylor Walker. Look, he was certainly not their worst. In fact, he was arguably their best player in the first final.
Game, Collingwood.
And didn't fire a shot there in the second, and he wasn't on his own there. Jordan Dawson, I'm convinced he's got an injury which he doesn't want to talk about publicly, so you give him a bit of an out, but not many others stood up, did they? Under a barrage.
Under pressure.
No, but 2 games of elite pressure, and that's what you expect to have happen in the finals. And yet they couldn't withstand either.
No.
And that's going to be the thing that worries Matty Nicks.
Yep.
They had intense pressure and heat brought on them by the Pies and fell away.
Yep.
So they had 8 days to turn that around and then couldn't withstand Hawthorn's pressure.
Yep. And both at home, full house. No excuses.
And then when you have losses the way they did, you look at their list and you look at the midfield specifically, it does look as though it falls away. Berry just wasn't up to the task on the weekend against Newcombe. Obviously, Rankin coming out of the dynamics there didn't help, but he wasn't going to, I think, contribute to either of those 2 games going the other way for the Crows. And then the forward line, which Matty Nicks has talked about quite openly regularly, needs to be looked at. So
that is a long pre-season.
It's a long pre-season. I agree. Gold Coast, on the other hand, no one's going to be critical of them falling short as they did in the second week of finals. They had the big win against Fremantle the previous week, and I think there was a fatigue element to it. And I think also, too, they just weren't seasoned enough, were they, to go with, for the distance, the seasoned Brisbane Lions, as they are.
No, that's fair. But I think Demo would still be disappointed with that second half.
Yep.
I mean, you can lose and you can lose. He would have, because they were in it, the first quarter especially. They were impressive. I thought, hello, this is heads bobbing at the minute. And then he would be disappointed with how it fell away.
Yeah. But then next week, you'll think, we won a final.
Yep.
It's a pretty good year. Yeah. Let's look towards next year.
I expect also to him to continue doing what he did in between years 1 and 2, and that is get some players in. He got Rioli in. I thought he was a massive key to what they were about this year. We know that Charlie Curnow wants to get to one of Geelong, Sydney or Gold Coast. It's not going to shock me if Gold Coast actually really analyse this situation hard. Yeah.
He's going to get there. He could get there.
Well, he wants to get to one of those 3 clubs, Bill. I feel we just about rule out Geelong as a possibility for logistical reasons with transactioning. And Sydney is also going to be problematic. Gold Coast may just have in Jed Walter someone who they could cough up as at least a starting point to the conversation. These conversations are not going to be shocking to anyone, and they've got until October 15 to work it out. Spoke with Jordan DeGoey today down there at Collingwood. He seems in as good a...
What, you did?
I did.
Directly?
Yes, directly, yes.
You and Jordo?
Geordie. He's,
that would be what I'd take out of that sentence.
It's not a big deal, Bill. It's what we're
well,
doing in this
you're
caper.
a very boring librarian, and Jordo's up and about and a superstar. What did you talk about?
I think he's calmed down a bit too, Bill.
He's got a kid on the way.
Yep. Spoke about that.
Yep.
We should check.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, actually, hang on.
You'll get called in for the second time in a week.
That is public. That is public.
Good, yes. So he has quietened down.
He has, and he's got a farm that's about 75 k's out of Melbourne, 40 whatever minutes, and that's changed him too, Jim. So he's really happy, and his body, most importantly, from a Collingwood fans' perspective, is good after that round 8. Game where he played the Cats, and that was the second loss of Collingwood at that stage, and we weren't too sure where Collingwood was when that happened. But he took himself out, got to Doha, got his body fixed, and
he was
good to go.
Finals footy has been great.
No, he's brilliant.
Like Newcombe.
He's played 13 finals, and I reckon he's been Collingwood's best player in 6, maybe 7 of them, and been in the best on all but 2 or 3.
So how will Bill go when he walks in and Hutchie sits him down and says, "Now listen, conversations that we have in private, I would like to remain that way." Bill will go. You give it the. He'll just go to water.
He'll try and talk about another topic.
He will.
He'll try and see who's going to win that next race at Sandown.
Well, Campbell Brown will be there. We'll bring something up with Brownie.
Listen, can you hold your ground and not go to water? Just on behalf of the
I don't know what I did wrong as a matter of interest, but anyway, we'll talk about that. No, in private. No dirty laundry here from you two.
No, we
just
spoke
to
we
Corn,
don't
by the way.
Have you
spoke
dirty
to
laundry off air?
Have you spoke to Kane?
Nah.
You are done, aren't you? You two.
No, I wouldn't
You're
say that.
mates.
Yeah.
It's really just changed that. It's unbelievable.
Look at him trying to change the topic.
This is an example of what he'll try and do with Hutchie. But Hutchie's too good for him. And that's why
I'll get some popcorn chicken delivered.
I'll have my spies in there just to see how you stand up.
2 lots of popcorn chicken will arrive. And Hutchie will start and he'll go, "Oh, have a look at them."
And a bottle of Chardonnay?
And a bottle of Chardonnay. And chips. God. And just a nice little frothy
I might roll
cleanser.
up. I've been invited to
No, you go,
I might roll up.
You're not invited.
Go and then report back.
I might come this week.
Well done.
You're not invited.
Damien Barrett. It's the rush hour on Triple M.